G'day and welcome wherever you're watching. I am with Shane Warne. Shane, we've already discussed in the past your cricket career.
Yep.
We're going to talk in a moment about life in the spotlight, which is no doubt very interesting. How are you going though, firstly?
Yeah, coping with isolation okay, but yeah, just thinking of everyone there and well done to all the nurses and doctors and everyone that's doing such a great job for everyone. Well done and thank you. But stay home and stay safe.
Is it easier to talk about cricket or off-field stuff? Does the off-field stuff...
Cricket's a lot easier to talk
I thought you
about
might say
off-field
that.
stuff.
Well, we'll keep it light and we'll keep it positive. We talked when we had a chat about cricket about 1993 and the Gadding Ball. If you haven't seen it and you're on another planet, roll the videotape. But in many ways, is it fair to say this single delivery put you into a completely different stratosphere as far as the world knowing who Shane Warne from St Kilda was?
Yeah, I mean, that ball changed my life. Suddenly there was interest about how I spent my time. What did you do away from the cricket field?
Did you find that bizarre?
Yeah, because I did, because I never saw myself... Over time, I understood that I was two different people. There was Shane Warne, the cricketer, and there was Shane Warne, the person. Now, the cricketer didn't always resemble the person. I'm a competitive beast and want to win everything, so sometimes I pushed the line too far. I was aggressive. I think I always played in the right spirit and loved it, but off the field, I still don't believe to this day that people get a true understanding of who I am because they see Shane Warne, the cricketer. You know, they read the headlines or the press of some of the bad choices I've made and the mistakes I've made and all those things. I was 23 years of age when that Gadding Ball happened. After that test match, everywhere we went, I remember going at the Windmill pub in Conduit Street in London. We were staying at the Westbury Hotel and the Windmill pub was 100 yards up the road and I went for a pint with Merv. And when I came out of the pub, there was, without a word of a lie, there was probably 25 to 30 photographers just taking pictures.
Not of Merv.
As I was walking 100 yards to my hotel, they're in the middle of the road. I'm going, Merv, what the hell is going on here? Is there something happened that I don't know about?
Wow.
You know, I don't know. And they just wanted... And so the next day was about Shane Warne was at the pub. What I was wearing, I was getting critiqued about what I was wearing. I had 10 things you don't know about Shane Warne. And I'm reading it going, that's not true. I didn't know that about me. That's not true either. So what are you talking? This is lies. So suddenly I was like, what's going on? And then everywhere we went, I mean, what was heartwarming at that stage is every county, because you played 2 county games in between each test match. So you drive on the night 5 of the test or whenever the test was over to the next county, you'd check in, you'd play the county game, another county game, and then you come to the test match. And it was unbelievable. I remember I was 23, so I was young. And every kid had zinc, trying to bowl leggies, and it was like, wow, like, because you're allowed to play on the oval. So at lunch breaks, you'd walk off and the kids were autographs and photos and all that sort of stuff, and there was no mobiles, so it was like, you know, proper cameras and things like that. And I started to think, geez, it's sort of a bit overwhelming. Everywhere you went for
no doubt.
Dinner, pubs, everywhere, it was overwhelming, to be honest, and I didn't know how to handle it. And I just tried to be myself the whole way. And I think to this day why people still like me is because I've always been myself. I've never pretended to be something I'm not. And I think that's where athletes get into trouble, is when they pretend to be something they're not. They might spruce stuff that I'm this, and then it's proven they're something else. So I've never pretended to be something I'm not. I'm not proud of all my decisions. I made some horrible mistakes and some really bad choices with things. But I never pretend. I was always true to myself. And I think that's what I'm proud of today. Some of the things were really hard to take. I let my family down, my children. I embarrassed my children. So that was never easy to do or to take. But that's something I have to live with. But, you know, I for all of those bad choices and mistakes I made, I've also been very proud of all the good things I've done. I've done a lot of good things, and sometimes people like to harp on the bad things because it's a better headline, rather than the good things you've done. And
does it hurt? Or have you become
no,
immune to it?
I think as you sort of grow up, people that say they don't read anything, they don't read the newspaper, it's impossible not to hear what people are saying.
Especially in the modern world.
It's impossible. So I subscribe to the age that I will read everything. And if it's someone I respect that's having a go at me for whatever reason, then I'll take it up with them. I remember taking something up with Richie Benaud once. I remember taking something up with Ian Chappell once. But the journalist that has to every day file something for clickbait and all those sorts of things, I didn't really worry about them because I knew they had a job to do.
Do you remember what you discussed with Richie?
Richie was talking about, I can't remember precisely what it was. It was something about my attitude on the field.
Okay.
He looked aggressive on the field today, didn't look, and I was trying to say there's a few things in my life that was going through that maybe come through on the field just to help him understand the situation.
Right.
I can't remember what it was with Chaps, but the thing is, what you got to remember back then was an Ashes tour, the journalists and everyone would have a beer with us in the change room and they'd be out with us. So it was a little bit different time. So I didn't really understand how it worked when I had to read these things about myself that weren't true, which was quite tough to take, to say, hang on, that's not true. What do you do? What recall have you got at that stage in 1993 to say, that's not true? You don't want to come out and say, well, that's not true. That's not true. You don't want to spend your life worrying about that stuff. So, but I did. And I worried. And I was like, well, that's not what I'm like. I'm not like that person. And that's when I suddenly became two people. I was Shane Warne, the cricketer on the field. Then I just tried to be a knockabout bloke that liked a beer, go to the pub and hang out with your mates afterwards. And suddenly that was a worn out drinking again. It was a headline. And I was like, well, hang on, I'm allowed to have a beer. So I found I didn't understand how it worked and I resented it. And I think some of my actions in the mid-90s and towards the end of the late 90s, I acted in an arrogant sort of a pretty ordinary fashion all the time. Not rude, because I've always been, even to my children, I've always tried to say that manners are free and no one will ever forget you if you're well-mannered. And I've always been well-mannered and polite.
It's funny you say that. When anyone says to me, you work with Shane Warne, what's he like? The first thing I generally say is he's got unbelievable manners.
Yeah.
Even yesterday we were talking about this and we finished and you said, oh, thanks. I was like, oh, that's a nice thing to say.
Yeah,
goes a long way.
That was my mum and dad. I've got to thank my mum and dad for that and my children are the same. My children are very, very polite. So for me, it was, the hardest things was to take that when you know you've done the wrong thing. I live in the moment, so sometimes you don't think about the consequences, and that was probably most of my trouble. I didn't think about what the consequences or the effect it would have on other people. It was a selfish thing. I did what I wanted to do. And that got me into a bit of trouble.
Healy is on his way down now to have a word with Warne. That might be partly psychological. Been chatting about what they'll have to drink in the dressing room when they get back, but they know it's the last ball of the day because time is up and overs are up as well. Right, now see if you can land that top spinner on the spot and just have it hit the gloves instead of go through to the wicket keeper. Could be the plan of campaign. You wouldn't believe it. He's done in between his legs. Well, whatever it is they talked about, you can bet your life in future it'll be, why don't you give him the one that'll bowl in between his legs?
Can't bowl and you can't throw.
People will not realise part of fame is you get to meet some amazing people, some amazingly other talented people. I've seen shots and videos and words that you're friends with certain people. People may not realise how it ties back to that ball. Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
Ed Sheeran, who you're mates with,
Yep.
ties back to the 1993 delivery to Gatting?
Well, I think, because cricket is a global sport, it's not just played in a couple of states here or anything like that. It's a global sport, cricket, so it has the attention of global people.
Good photo.
Yeah, that was a great concert that time. You know, one of my best mates, Dimmy Mascarenas, one of my best mates, Ross Desmond, and his wife Steph, and then me and Ed.
Ed.
It was pretty cool. It was
What's the connection between Ed and you and the '93 Ashes?
Well, so as I said, because we're a global sport, cricket, and you get the attention of global people, you've got to remember that some of these 25, 30-year-old guys, I suppose, 15, 16, 17 years ago or 20 years ago, were teenagers, young teenagers, and their fathers loved cricket.
Huh.
So, for instance, with Ed, his father, John, loves cricket. And so when I got the opportunity to meet Ed at Crown in Melbourne, he was playing a gig here, he wanted a photo to show his dad. So he come and knocked on my door and asked for a photo. And I said, yeah, sure, if you don't mind having one with my daughter, Brooke. So, and Brooke was like, oh, Dad, don't embarrass me, Dad. Oh, please, I don't want a photo. I said, you sure? She goes, oh, okay, one. So I had a photo with Ed. And so, yeah, look, to get to know him, I bowled for 2 hours in the nets to his old man.
To his dad?
To John Sheeran, yeah.
You bowled to him?
2 hours in the nets. I thought, just roll a few over. He batted for 2 hours in the nets. And then I took my 3 kids to Ed Sheeran concert that night, and Ed presented Brooke with a guitar to say thank you and all that. So we became good mates, I don't know, probably 10 years ago now, I think it is, maybe a bit longer. And he likes his cricket, and mainly because he grew up with his father sitting and watching cricket. Chris Martin is one of my best friends. He's in the top 5 probably mates I have. And I got to know him in 2000. And a funny story with him was I was staying at the Royal Garden Hotel in London, and it was late, and I just sort of was sneaking into the lift. And when there's like 10 or 15 people in the lift, and suddenly there's a foot in the door and there's someone leaning out going, you coming?
Yeah.
And I'm sort of sitting in the corner like this, and I'm sort of looked over, and there's another guy in the corner, and I sort of look over and double take, and I said, are you? And he went, are you? And I went, yeah. And he goes, yeah. He said, what are you doing? I said, the same as you. I'm going to my room. And he said, well, do you fancy a drink? Come up and say hello. I said, sure. So Chris and I went up to his room, and we watched the sun come up, clicked straight away, and that was 20 years ago. So we've been mates ever since, and my children, his kids, we've had dinners together, we've been and seen shows together. He got me up on stage here in Melbourne.
We're talking about that. I just want to play something to the audience. If you haven't seen this, we need to listen to this. This is a 2-parter. Check this out. We'll have a listen.
Hold on. I see another person looking for a band. I see a person who used to be part of an amazing gang, an amazing team, who's now just wandering Australia, lost and lonely. And we wanted to join our band. Shane, come on into our band, man. Come on, man. Let's bring Shane on. Let's get him back in the game.
Here he comes. Let's get him back in the game. So, where is this, and what's it like when you go on stage with one of the biggest rock bands in the world?
Well, it was weird. I mean, so the day before that...
Where was this?
This is in Melbourne.
Okay.
And that was Coldplay's longest ever concert this night too. They normally play for 2 hours, and I think it went just over 2 hours, their longest ever concert. And the day before, Chris and the band came over for lunch because Chris wanted to catch up with my children and say good day. So we all had a barbecue and talking. He said, right, I've got an idea. I want you on stage tomorrow. I said, mate, I've done that once before with you, and it was like, you saw how bad I was. We ain't doing that again. And he goes, no, kid, he said to the guys, Jackson and Brooke and Summer, and he said, what do you guys think? Yeah, go on, Dad, go on. So I was a bit like, I don't want to let my kids down again. So I said, all right, what have you got planned though? He said, oh, don't worry, leave it to me. So he told this story about a guy who'd lost his job, didn't know what he wanted to do, wanted to be in a rock band, and he found this guy in the street, which was me, right? So I get up, and he'd tuned a harmonica for me. So all I had to do was get the beat right. If I got the beat right, it would sound good. If I didn't get the beat right to the song, it would sound rubbish.
Before you tell me whether you got the beat right,
Yep.
maybe our audience can decide whether you got the beat right. Let's have a listen. Let's have a listen.
Watch this.
So you are playing harmonica on
front of
stage
70,000,
with
yeah.
Coldplay.
And he throws me under the bus here somewhere too. Solo.
Whatever, King. Whatever. Did you get the beat right?
I did. It'll tell you just how the world works. So after that, which was pretty awesome, I remember before I was walking to the stage, I saw my son Jackson. He's going, Dad, Dad. He was in the crowd. I was like, oh, g'day, mate. How are you? And I got up there, and I just thought, oh, he's going to embarrass me here. He's going to embarrass me. Anyway, it all went pretty good. I nailed the harmonica, and I just got off. It was pretty amazing.
Oh, got it! What a catch! What a great catch from a young cricketer who has had a tremendous match.
Got him, good catch, he's taken him. That's Warnie, I think. He's caught him at second slip. That's a very good catch. It stayed low and Warnie stayed down and made a very good catch.
Up, oops, got him, Mason. What a catch! If that carried, that is a gem of a catch. Superb catching. Brilliant cricket by the Australians. Got him, what a catch! Warnie, you magnificent slipper. That is a ripper. Almost behind Gilchrist. I'm not sure if that was Warnie's catch, but it is a beautiful take. Diving to his right.